I've made this node here in Blender, which allows you to select vertices in a mesh or any object that you have. So I post whatever's inside. I put it on GitHub, so if anybody's interested, they can get it from there. The link should be in the description. So here what you can do is basically, well, if you were to just use the normal transform node that comes with Blender, well, anything that you do is applied to the whole mesh. So rotate or translate or anything you want. So I've made this node, and with this one you can basically select, for example, let's say I want to select the vertex that's well, the two that are on top. So positive y, positive z direction. So that's what this does with a boolean. And well, then you can just select, for example, those 2 points. So now let's say I want to rotate, for example, no, actually, let me just remove this. I was just testing something. So let's say I want to rotate. Here it's rotating around the center of the object. But let's say you want to rotate, well, specifically, let's say you want to rotate around the middle of this line, right? So right now, if I'm doing this, like you can see, it's rotating around the center of the face here, which is not what we want. So if for example, I just put, well, this cube is 0.5 in each direction, so half of that is 0.25. And now if I rotate it around the y-axis, you can see it's really rotating around the center of this line. So you can do well, and you can plug in a specific vector if you want, you know, with the vector node. Where is that? Input, vector, and then you can decide wherever you want it. Yeah, so that is for this one. That I call it the transform vector. So if you go into the file on GitHub, you'll be able to find this node. It's at the bottom of the file, so you should go at, there's other stuff in here which I'm working on. So just go all the way down and you'll find this node in here, or in the add node you should also find it, the add tab. So this is for the vertex selection. I've also made another one to select the entire object and to select specific faces, because this is not going to work with faces. So where are those? So I have, all right, this one is for the face. So if you want to select a specific face, okay, so let's say you want to select binormals. Usually that's what people do. So normal here, let's say it's on the z-axis, it's let's say you want it on the z-axis. Oh, sorry, what is going on here? On the z-axis you want it greater than 0, basically. So it will only select the face that's on top normally if everything works well. So let's just plug in the same cube in here. Okay, right now well, nothing is going on. And another thing is, if you do not select anything here in the face selection, it just doesn't do anything, which is not the case with this one. So for example, if you do not select, well, in other nodes in Blender, if you do not select anything, it just applies to the whole mesh. Well, these are nodes I made in geometry node, so they're not very sophisticated, so you cannot do that. But okay, let's say now you have this face, right? So greater than 0.1, you want to select that, and then let's say you want to translate upwards, you know, or for example in the y direction, you can select specific faces. So I think those are nice nodes. I usually color them in green. What's going on here? Okay. So those are for the face selections. Then I made another node also here, which does, which basically you can select everything. So let's say you want to rotate it around, a specific origin. Well, just the origin of the object, to make it simple. If you want to do something fancy, you can just select everything with these other nodes. But if you just want a simple, like, let's say you have this cube, right? You have this cube, this one, and whatever, it's somewhere else in the, it's somewhere else in Blender. So geometry, it's somewhere else, like let's say a bit up to the Y. And if you were to just use the transform node, it would just rotate around the center here of the origin. Well, actually, if you use this one, wait, let me just see. Yeah, so it's rotating around the center of the origin, which is not what we want. So you can just basically take your cube, which is somewhere else. Okay, so I've plugged this one. Well, let's just take the original cube. Oh no, so it's this one. So somewhere else you have this cube, right? And let's say you just want to rotate it, but around the center of the object. So let's say you want to rotate around the x-axis, so just rotate it there, or around the y-axis, any axis you want. And you can also scale it along the same origin point, the origin of the object, so the center of the object. Because if you were to do that in this node, the one that comes with Blender, it would scale it, but with considering the origin of the world, which is not what we want here. For example, if you were to, you see, like it just scales it along this point, which is not what we want. So this is a useful node if anybody needs it. Yeah, I was going to say something else. If you rotate it twice here, sometimes you can get gimbal lock. So let's say you want to rotate it X and then Y. So you want to rotate it like this, and then you want to do a Y rotation. It's better to just take this node, copy it, just cancel everything, so 0 everywhere. This is all 1. Okay, so you've done your first rotation. Now we want to do another rotation, let's say around the y-axis. It's better to use 2 nodes like this because sometimes you get gimbal lock. So, but that's not specific to this node. It's any transform node in Blender.